mouse event. The EVT is like a variable that can hold it, but it's interesting actually, because that EVT I said in the last tutorial didn't need to be called EVT. It could be anything you want. If I do that, E, it'll also come up with it, and we're going to store it in E, and we'll go for, let's do that again, mouse, scroll down a bit, mouse event there, and as soon as I do that, it'll import the flash events mouse event, so it's keeping the code streamlined. So it's only going to import what it needs to actually create mouse events. Let's close that down and type void. Okay, and now here comes our event, and you'll see there by pressing enter it's just closed that event down there for me as well. So it's in many ways AS3 3 and CS5 it tries to correct what you're doing and help you along the way as well. So it is hard in some ways, it's easier in others. Right, this is one of the harder ways now. So in previous versions of ActionScript, the AS3 2, you could just put get URL on a button, and you could, within inside the speech marks, the quotation marks, you could just put your URL name and then underscore blank and everything like that if you've done that before, and that would take you very simply to your URL destination. In this, what we have to do is we have to declare variables. We're going to declare a variable which is going to hold our string, which is a word, so we're going to hold our string, which is going to be our URL name. Then we have to request a variable. We're going to create a variable called request, which is going to be a URL request, and that's going to be a new URL request, and then we're going to navigate to it. So it's all quite complex, but it's in fact it's overly complex, it seems, in many ways, but it's the way things are to be done in ActionScript 3. So if I type var URL, and this variable here is a string. Now in previous versions you don't actually have to in this as well particularly, but it helps. If we call it a string variable this time, this variable will only hold strings. So if you come into a large bit of code and you might be chucking around strings and booleans and integers and things like that, this stops them from getting mixed up, and they only hold the right type of data for them. In this sense, it's not too important really, but it does help in the long run. So HTTP and // so this is going to be our URL, and I'll take you to a site I did a while ago, greenbytes.co.uk. Put yours in there, whichever you like. So that's our variable that's holding a string. Now what we have to do is we're going to create a variable that's called request, that is going to be an instance of a URL request, and it's going to create a new URL request. So here, if I go, it all seems too much, doesn't it really, but if I type var request, and here, this is the type of property that this is going to hold. So URL request. So here we are, it's imported the URL request from the flash.net, so all the server-side stuff. So flash URL, and this is going to be an instance of a new URL request. And that is going to hold a URL. Okay. Right. In here, what we're going to do is we're now going to navigate to URL. So a bit of an error there. Needs to be a capital T. Navigate to URL, so you know it's all gone blue, it's all good. And here what we're going to do is we're going to call the request. So this is the request variable. So that's our request variable. And here we're going to go to underscore blank, and that will create a new blank page for our website to open in. Underscore blank could also be some other things as well. One of my favorites is underscore self as well, so it'll either open up in the same window or blanks a new window. So they're two ways of doing that. And there's other things as well, like parent and top and things, but those are probably my most two used. And let's publish that. Okay, so I've got an error here. Call to possible undefined method new URL request. So let's check that out and see where the error is. And there it is, okay? So new URL request just needs a space in it. And that happens from time to time when you're typing. So new URL request, URL, let's publish it again. And if I click, you can see in my other window, uploads the website. So it's all back. So that's the new way of doing the URL request in ActionScript 3. Certainly a lot more complex and stuff, but it's a way, once you've done it, you can copy and paste it into other documents.